For most pupils in rural areas, getting to school every morning remains a daunting task, as they have to walk more than 5 kilometers and usually on an empty stomach. Our show today looks at this issue and how we can make a contribution towards change. My name is Bule Mulebati, and this is your half-an-hour dose of positive and uplifting news. A non-profit organization, Qhubeka, was founded to provide bicycles for children in order to attend schools, with estimates suggesting a 75% reduction in commuting time and 23% higher attendance at schools for people given a bicycle by this NGO. Our producer, Sinenhlanhla Mthembu, spent some time at Qhubeka, and here is what took place.
Waking up early sucks, especially when it's still dark outside. But for some like Kika, choices are limited. Getting to school takes time and lots of it. This makes it hard to focus during important moments and leaves Kika little time for play. Many people like Kika and her family don't have access to transport. This means they can't easily get to the places they need to go, like schools, parks, clinics and shops. And so Qhubeka was born.
So I used to travel with my own barefoot to school, walking about 55 minutes. So Qhubeka sponsored us have donated bicycles to my school to help us walk this, to travel along this long distance. So they have done a best for us. So now I've only travel for 15 minutes. It's better than before. This bicycle have given me a lot. I can study, do everything. I get a lot of time for doing my own things, studying and going to sports. But for now, what I'm pursuing, I'm trying to pursue my future, making things to be better for my family. This have given me a better opportunity to do so. What I can say to Qhubeka, I can say thank you for all the help, for your donations. Please do it for others.
Here's a story of Qhubeka and Nguni work that means to progress or to move forward. Qhubeka is an organization that literally moves people forward with bicycles. Bophelong visited them to find out how it all started and about their bicycle program that changes lives.
We founded in 2004 and we wanted to make a difference to educational outcome in South Africa. When we went to rural schools, we found millions of children walking more than an hour each way to school. And this meant that they didn't get there on time. When they got there, they were exhausted, and they spent a large portion of their day commuting instead of being at school, doing homework and spending time being a child. We started off as a CSI program in a large company, and we had a lot of logistical capability. We did imports. So initially we imported the components, we built an assembly facility, and we started getting the bicycles out into rural villages.
He explained why they chose the name Qhubeka.
We wanted it to be uniquely South African, and we wanted a word that spoke to what we were doing. And the name is unique and it's special to progress, to move forward. It's a great name, we love it.
Their programs are now based throughout South Africa and are implemented in communities by Qhubeka's partners.
My name is Sylvester. I learn here at Wankada High School. Every day when I come to school, before the bicycles, I was always late because it was a distance from my place where I live. And by the way, when I got the bicycle, I got at school very fast.
We started off being quite a small NGO, and our capability was importing and distributing bicycles. So our model is that we partner with other NGOs that are on the ground, and we initially partnered with another NGO that was working in the environmental space, an organization called the Wildlands Conservation Trust, and they were doing a lot of work in northern KwaZulu-Natal. and they had a program where children were growing trees in order to afford their school fees.
My name is Prince. It was 8 June 2016. That day actually I was very excited when I drive my bicycle. Bicycle, it was changing my life because some days we have extra lessons, so I can attend extra lesson with time. So bicycle, it was changing my life.
My name is Bophelong. When I grow up, I want to be a soldier. This bicycle helped me to travel all around. It helped me to keep me strong and healthy.
My name is Longani. I'm doing grade 9 in here at Chamete High. So when I grow up, I want to be a pilot.
One recipient's story still stands out to Anthony.
Relevant story for me was a child who received a bike, a 14-year-old guy. His name was Tabo, I remember that clearly. And I asked him how the bicycle was going to change his life. So what he said is that he used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning in order to get water, to take care of his siblings, and then he needed to walk to school at 5:30 so he could get there at 6:30 and spend an hour doing his homework before school started at 7:30. So can you imagine getting up that time in the morning, and then in the afternoon he'd finish school at 1:30, stay for another hour's worth of homework, and then race the sun to get home also to play with his siblings. And I said, well, how's this going to make a difference? He said, well, instead of spending 2 hours a day walking, I'm only going to spend half an hour. And I said, well, what are you going to do with the half hour, with the 1.5 hours you saved? So he said, I'll do more homework. And I want to do more homework because my grade's at 60% at the moment. And by moving my grades to 80%, I'll be able to get a bursary to go to university. And when I go to university, I want to come back as a doctor so I can help my community.
Let's take a short break. When we return, we take a look at the selection criteria of the beneficiaries of this initiative.
Finally, getting the click in Xhosa right. Fitting into your thin pants. Making it out of the friend zone.
With so many good deals at the Tops at Spa Surfest, you'll find any reason to celebrate. Buy 2 6-packs of Budweiser Handies for only $104.99. Only at the Tops at Spa Surfest.
SABC News can reveal just how easy it is to buy explosives used in these robberies.
The very worrying factor is that very few arrests have been made.
Uma bazizinto ngami engingazazi mina ngazi izinto ngabo abanye abazaziyo bona ukuthi zinjani. Angifuni bazenze bahle ngegama lami.
Sia Kolisi comes out. Skipper number 61 for South Africa, the first black South African captain.
As SABC has the new look, independent, impartial, will be having a new ways of policing where everybody is a police and there are less managers and more foot soldiers.
You must be at the forefront of this fight against the killing of young women. Why is it that we find it so easy to kill one another? We were killed by Boers in 1976. Now we are the killers. Can't be.
If this airport's name will not be a Khoisan name, there will be war.
Welcome back to the show. Today we are looking at one of the often overlooked challenges affecting the youth, the issue of lack of transportation for learners to commute to school. As we unpack this issue, we'll look at how Qhubeka, a non-profit organization, is doing their bit to improve the lives of pupils by donating bicycles. Here is more on this story.
My marks were not good at all, but getting the bicycle have helped me to improve my marks in English, geography, and mathematical literacy. Thanks a lot from Qhubeka, and please do more to others as you do to us.
We spoke to Hlengiwe, the person on the ground and responsible for all the identification.
My job at Qhubeka is to identify the schools and the individuals that are in need of the bicycles. Yes, I work them on the ground to put the program, to make the program happen, to make an impact, to make sure that the bicycles are actually serving the purpose of moving the people forward. I go to the schools, I identify the schools in the area, and then speak to the principal, the school governing body, the parents, and then when we come to an agreement, it is where we start to implement the program. But then before we implement the program, of course there is paperwork that is also involved, because they have to sign the contract that they do agree that their children use the bicycles from home to school and back.
She explained the program to us.
The program is bicycles. The bicycles move people forward. The bicycles help children who are walking long distances from home to school, and also from school to home. It also helps them to also stay at school, do extramural classes or extramural activities like your sport and other activities that can do at school. It also gives them that opportunity, because before the bicycle, then they can't be able to spend more hours at school, because now they have to rush home, they have to rush for a transport, they don't want to get home very late. But with the bicycle, then it makes a difference, because then it saves them time to walk from school to home, and then they can be able to get home early.
The big question is, who qualifies for these bicycles?
It's not per family, actually. We're working with the beneficiaries, because the need it's per a beneficiary or per an individual. If a learner does qualify to have a bicycle, because actually another thing that is important is this we don't do the handout. It's a hand-up program. The learners, they have to work to earn a bicycle, so they must do some activities and also comply with the criteria that is going to be set by the school. So if, let's say, there are 2 or 3 learners in each family, but they all qualify in terms of the criteria that is being set by the school, of course they do qualify to get the bicycle, and then I think they do deserve to get a bicycle. We do give to them as well.
And of course, a few lessons are given to those who don't know how to ride.
Before we give the bicycles to the learners, then we teach them, because otherwise we don't want to give them a tool that they can't use. We want them to use the bicycles. So for those that cannot be able to ride the bicycles, we teach them before we can give them the bicycles, to make sure that they are capable of riding the bicycle, and also they know the safety rules when they are riding the bicycle.
Bengifika ngo 6 o'clock, maybe ngifikela around sebafunda abantwana besikole around maybe 9, maybe 9:30 or 9:15. So beki distance ende ukuze ngifike la esikoleni. Sengivuka ngo7, ngiyazi ukuthi ngo7 ngiyavuka. Isikole singena nge8. Ngiyazi ukuthi ibhayisikili la ngihamba khona kuyayehlela, so ngihamba ngalolu kalula ukuze ngifike la esikoleni.
Bengihamba ngebhasi and ibhasi belihlupha njalo. And they were striking, so ibhayisikili langisiza langiletha la esikoleni.
Qhubeka also ensures safety of school children when riding outside school premises.
To make sure that the learners on the bicycles are safe, we have an adult program where we involve the community policing forum who make sure that when the learners are riding to the school, of course we encourage them to ride in a bus, because then when they're riding in one-ones, then it makes them even vulnerable and also exposed to those people who might do something wrong with them. But then as they ride in a bus, the CPFs help us, or they help them to usher them to the school. And also when the school comes out, also the work is to also help the children to ride back home safely, to make sure that they get home safely. And also the sectors are like divided into many sectors. So the CPFs themselves, they know which sectors, which learners stays in which sector. So they just divide them amongst themselves, that who is going to be ushering which learners to which area, to make sure that the learners are getting home safe or getting school safe.
But what really happens to these bicycles beyond grade 12?
There is a time frame that is set on the contract that they sign, and the consent form that a parent signs. A learner has to behave, a learner has to comply with all that is in the contract. So if a learner behaves and comply with all the criteria that has been set by the school, behave, taking care of the bicycle, when they graduate from matric, then they can keep the bicycle, because the life still goes on. It doesn't end with matric. They can still use the bicycles for other activities.
So my name is Simbile Mia from Makoka Secondary School, and when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. So I thank Kubega for this bicycle. I can see change in my life.
Time now for another ad break. We wrap up today's show by looking at ways that you can support initiatives such as Kubega.
As democracy matures, we get into discussing very, very sensitive issues.
I think that there's a lot of people that are applauding it. I'm sure it's going to be appealed.
It is the beginning of a long journey of South Africa fighting racism.
That sticky label of being a white party, so to speak, doesn't seem to want to go away.
So the competition actually helps, and it brings out winning in total.
Stay tuned to Media Monitor every Sunday from 9 a.m.
The story of Guatyu is a microcosm of the problems that continue to plague land reform, where the challenges of redistribution, restitution and security of tenure include not only addressing past injustices and making farms productive, but reclaiming identity.
I had, this belief that this is our government. Definitely, they will do whatever they can do for us to change our lives. But unfortunately, I think I was just naive.
It is the government of South Africa that is owning this land, and it is that government that is denying these people.
We probe.
He was bone crushed on 3 places, so he said, well, we're going to have to amputate. What?
We confront.
This young girl was abducted when she was 16. She was sold off by her older sister. Now, in grade 11, she has 3 children.
And we expose. Catch Special Assignment every Sunday at 9:30 right here on SABC News Channel.
Welcome back to the last leg of our show. As we conclude today's edition of Bophelong, we'll look at sustainable solutions towards assisting learners with means to commute to school. What are your thoughts on this? Talk to us. Our contact details are at the bottom of your screen. Here is how Kubega has sustained their organization over the years.
We spoke to Douglas Ryder, the team principal of Team Dimension Data, a world tour cycling team which travels the world to raise funds for Qhubeka.
I'm the team principal or team owner of Team Dimension Data for Qhubeka. So we're a professional cycling team that in 3 weeks' time will be racing the Tour de France, which is the biggest cycling event in the world with an African team, and we race to mobilize kids on bicycles through the Qhubeka charity. We support Qhubeka in the way that we give them exposure around the world as we race with our professional cycling team. And our dream is to mobilize people on bicycles so that their lives can change. And we want to, I guess, find the next potential professional cyclists. So, racing around the world, raising funds for the Qhubeka charity so that they can put, I guess, more Africans and South Africans on bicycles is our dream. Bicycles change people's lives, and I mean that's what we want to do. We want to be able to change the lives of all these individuals and give these kids hope and opportunity so that they can have a chance in life and get to school and be fresher and improve their grades and then have a better opportunity in life. And I think that's days like this are the best days of the year and the best days of my life.
My name is Sugu. I school here at Semende Secondary. I am one of the learners who received Qhubeka last year, 2017 May. The Qhubeka bicycles has helped me really. It gets me to school at early time. When I grow up, I want to be an optometrist. It will help me achieve this dream because I go to early studies and attend the study groups at home.
Tati Paweni, Executive Director of Qhubeka, told us more about the operations and where the bicycles are manufactured.
We previously used to import different components of the bicycles from China, but we then had an assembly environment in South Africa. We assembled mainly out in Zeerast, that's out in the northwest, with another charity where we were creating employment for women there who would put together the different components to come out with a bike. Last year, we set up a manufacturing factory in East London where we now cut the steel ourselves and we now manufacture the bicycle ourselves. That has given us an opportunity to also expand our ability to create jobs in the assembly environment, in that we also assemble the bicycles out in Cape Town and also still assemble in Zeerast.
Here are some of the challenges they face as an NGO.
Our biggest challenge would be fundraising. Raising funds will definitely have to be our biggest challenge because the need out there is bigger than probably what we're able to fund as a non-profit. But we're hoping that we can overcome that through the establishment of the bicycle manufacturing company that will give us an opportunity to draw profits from that and fund the bicycles that are required out there.
Funding is always a challenging problem. Mainly we get support from corporates in South Africa, but we also raise funds through the race team. The Dimension Data for Qhubeka race team raise between 5,000 and 7,500 bicycles a year for us, and then we do grassroots fundraising. This year will be the official charity of the Tour de France. They have a massive audience of about 3.5 billion people who watch the Tour de France. So we are appealing to people in Europe and America to help fund us. So we do bring quite a lot of funds from generous cyclists outside the country, and they bring them to us.
Despite the challenges, they still find this job very fulfilling.
I say this is a very rewarding job because you get to understand the impact that you're making to people and real people that you can talk to. So it is just an encouraging thing to hear the different stories. It makes you work harder. It makes you want to do better on a daily basis.
12 12 million of the country's 16 million school-going children walk to and from school, and 500,000 of these walk more than 2 hours to school and 2 hours back. With the Qhubeka bicycle, a child's commute time is reduced by up to 75%.
The first thing is to really understand the problem. So the first problem is there are 2 million kids in South Africa that walk more than an hour to school every day. And so if we need to give them more energy and change the academic outcome in South Africa alone, we need to program 2 million bicycles. So in my lifetime, I'd really like to look at programming at least 100,000 bicycles a year.
Our programs are countrywide. We do have a program out in KZN, in Bergville. We've got a program in Limpopo. Our biggest program is in Limpopo in Giyani, but also do work in an area called Tusalushaka. That's in Limpopo, in Able, in Limpopo. We have programs in the northwest. So our programs are well spread across the country. We also have programs in Cape Town.
Hello, I'm Carrie and I'm from Semende Secondary School. I received my bicycle on 24 September 2016, if I'm not mistaken. What help does this bicycle bring to me? I'm even able to attend morning studies because I never get late to school. Before receiving this bicycle, I used to be 10 minutes late for morning studies. And now that I have a bicycle, I'm even remain for extra classes because I won't be afraid to go home alone because I will be riding a bicycle.
Near future, of course, is to reach that 50,000 bicycles per annum. That's in the near future. If we could drive to that, say by 2020, we're able to get to 50 bicycles per annum. That would be a goal achieved. But of course, long term, we are looking to distribute 100,000 per annum. Let's see.
Bophelong salutes you, Qhubeka, for moving people forward. Qhubekani nenze okuhle nakwabanye. You are proof that bicycles do really change lives.
With that, we conclude today's show. Thank you for watching. Until next time, it's a goodbye from us here on Bophelong. Bye.